I never thought a single decision, made out of kindness and exhaustion, could quietly rearrange my entire life. This happened a little over 3 years ago, and even now, I still think about it whenever I hear someone knock on my door after dark. At the time, I was 27 years old, living alone in a small one-bedroom apartment in a quiet part of the city. Nothing fancy. Beige walls, cheap furniture, the kind of place you rent because it's close to work and not because you love it. I worked long hours at a logistics company. My days were repetitive emails, phone calls, spreadsheets, meetings that could have been emails. I didn't hate my job, but I didn't love it either. Mostly, I was tired, mentally and physically. I didn't have many friends in the city. Most had moved away or gotten married. My social life had slowly shrunk into occasional texts and the same routine every week. That night I stayed late at work. It was raining hard when I finally left one of those cold, relentless rains that soak through your jacket no matter how fast you walk. I remember checking the time as I unlocked my apartment door. It was a little after 11:30 p.m. I kicked off my shoes, dropped my bag on the floor, and stood there for a moment just listening to the rain hit the windows. All I wanted was a shower and sleep. That's when I heard the knock. At first, I ignored it. I wasn't expecting anyone, and honestly, I didn't want to deal with anything or anyone. But then there was another knock. Louder this time, hesitant but deliberate. I looked through the peephole. A man stood there, probably in his mid-30s. He looked soaked, hair plastered to his forehead, jacket dripping onto the hallway carpet. He wasn't smiling. He didn't look aggressive either, just tired. I didn't open the door immediately. I asked for it. Yeah? He took a step back, hands visible. "Sorry to bother you," he said. "I think I'm in the wrong building. My phone died and it's pouring out here. I just needed to ask something. That should have been my cue to keep the door closed. Instead, I cracked it open." He explained that he'd taken a wrong bus and ended up miles from where he was supposed to be. His ride canceled on him. His phone was dead. No wallet, no cash. He asked if I could let him charge his phone for a few minutes so he could call someone. I hesitated. Every warning voice in my head started talking at once. But I also remembered how it felt to be stranded once, years earlier with no one to call. Against my better judgment, I opened the door. I let him in. I kept my distance. I pointed to the outlet, near the kitchen counter, and told him he could charge his phone there. I didn't offer food. I didn't offer a seat. We barely talked while his phone charged. He stood quietly, scrolling, occasionally apologizing for the inconvenience. After about 10 minutes, he looked up at me and said, "I'm really sorry to ask this, but is there any chance I could stay here just for tonight?" I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it caught me so off guard. "No," I said immediately. "I can't do that." He nodded, no argument. "No guilt trip." "I understand," he said. I figured I'd ask. His phone buzzed. He frowned at the screen. "My friend can't come?" he said quietly. "Everyone I know is asleep or out of town?" He glanced toward the window, where rain continued to pour. "I'll just wait it out at the bus stop," he added. I don't know why that's the moment that got to me. Maybe it was the exhaustion. Maybe it was the way he didn't push. Maybe it was the rain. Or maybe it was loneliness doing what loneliness does best, making you ignore your instincts. I heard myself say, "You can take the couch. Just for tonight." The relief on his face was immediate. He thanked me over and over, almost too much. I gave him a spare blanket and pillow. I locked my bedroom door that night for the first time since moving in. I barely slept. Every small noise had me awake. The sound of him shifting on the couch. The hum of the refrigerator. My mind replayed worst-case scenarios on a loop. But morning came quietly. When I stepped out of my room, he was already awake. He had folded the blanket and placed it neatly on the couch. He thanked me again, said he'd be gone within the hour. Before leaving, he asked if he could write down my name. "For what?" I asked. "So I don't forget the person who helped me when no one else did." It felt awkward but harmless. He left. I didn't think about him much after that. Life went back to normal. Work, home, sleep. Days blurred together. Until about 2 months later, I was called into my manager's office unexpectedly. HR was there too. They told me the company was restructuring. My position was being eliminated. Just like that, I was unemployed. I went home in a daze, sat on my couch, staring at nothing, wondering how quickly stability could disappear. That evening, my phone rang. An unknown number. I almost didn't answer. "Hi," the voice said. "This is going to sound strange, but you probably don't remember me. I stayed at your apartment one night when it was raining." My stomach dropped. He went on quickly, explaining he wasn't calling to ask for anything. He said he remembered our brief conversation, that I worked in logistics, that I seemed unhappy, that I helped him without expecting anything. He told me he ran a small startup. They needed someone with my background. He asked if I was open to talking. I was suspicious, cautious, but curious. We met in a public cafe. The job was real. The company was real. The offer wasn't glamorous, but it was stable. I accepted. Over the next year, my life slowly improved. Better hours. Better pay. I made friends at work. I felt useful again. One evening after work, he and I sat down for coffee. He admitted something that made my chest tighten. He said that night, the night I let him stay, he had been at the lowest point of his life. Wasn't just stranded. He was considering ending everything. He said my small act of kindness didn't fix his life, but it stopped him from feeling invisible. I didn't know what to say. We never became close friends. We didn't hang out. Our lives stayed mostly separate. But sometimes I think about how close I came to ignoring that knock. I think about how easily I could have chosen safety over compassion. I don't recommend letting strangers into your home. I still wouldn't do it again. But I learned something important that night. You never really know how heavy someone's burden is. And sometimes a single moment of kindness echoes far longer than fear ever could.